Hi guys, it's Natalie from Let's Practice English. We are now on to part 4 of the 100 of the most difficult words to pronounce in English. So let's get started with the first one. So the first word we have for this video is parochial. Now parochial is quite an advanced word, so if you don't know what this means, it has two meanings. And the first meaning is something to do with the church, the Christian church, and the other meaning is someone who is narrow-minded or is very closed-minded. Let's look at the pronunciation of this word. So if you listen again, we say parochial. So similarly to other words we've spoken about before, that CH is not pronounced like a ch sound, it's pronounced like a k sound. So it's parochial. So it's almost like a key sound actually at the end of the word. And an example sentence could be, older people tend to have parochial attitudes. On to the next one, we have chronological. And if you don't know what chronological means, it just means when things are in order. If you can see the first two letters, they are CH, but again, it's not pronounced like a ch sound, it's k. So it's chronological. And at the end, even though it's CAL, it's pronounced like a kl sound. And an example sentence could be, I like to have my work in chronological order. On to the next word, we have longitudinal. Now again, similarly to the first word, this is a very advanced word, so it's not very commonly used, but it can be easily mispronounced. So if you listen to the pronunciation again, it's longitudinal. So when we have that TI, it's pronounced like a chewed sound in the middle. And also at the end, when we have the NAL, it's not nal, it's null. And in a sentence, you could use this like longitudinal muscles. So you can talk about muscles being longitudinal. On to the next one, we have island and Ireland. Now, these two words can be pronounced differently depending on your accent and where you come from in the UK or the US. But if you just listen again to my pronunciation, there are two different sounds. So for the first one, we say island. So we don't pronounce the S after the I. And the second one, we say Ireland. So it's a different I sound at the beginning. It's R, like that. So an example sentence could be, the UK is an island and Ireland became independent in 1922. On to the next one, we have regularly. Now, even though this is a very common word, it can be mispronounced because the end of the word is pronounced in quite a strange way. If you read it as L-A-R-Y-L, you might want to say larily, but actually it's regularly. So it's almost like a double I sound at the end. So if you just listen one more time, it's regularly. And an example sentence could be, I regularly go to the cinema. On to the next one, we have lettuce. Now lettuce, if you don't know, is a type of green vegetable that's very commonly used in salads, but it can be mispronounced because of the ending of the word. So if you listen again, we say lettuce. So actually that C sound at the end is pronounced more like an S sound. And an example sentence could be, lettuce is really healthy for you. On to the next one, we have lieutenant. Now, lieutenant is quite a difficult word to pronounce because it is spelt very difficultly. So even the spelling confuses people, so of course the pronunciation will also. So if you listen again, it's lieutenant. So actually the beginning sound is just pronounced like a loo, like L-O-O, like the toilet, and then tenant. And an example sentence could be, my uncle served as a lieutenant in the British Army. Okay, so on to the next one, we have prejudice. Now, prejudice is quite difficult to pronounce because of the middle of the word. So if you listen again, it's pronounced like pre-de-gis. So the ending's quite easy because it's just I-C-E, but the middle is pronounced like j. So it's almost exactly the same as a G sound. And normally with J and G can be pronounced in the same way sometimes. And an example could be, there are always going to be people who are prejudiced against foreigners. On to the next one, we have sophisticated. Now, sophisticated is quite a nice word to use if you can. It can be difficult to pronounce because of that PH sound, and some people get confused with that type of spelling and they don't know how to pronounce it properly. But if you listen again, it's sophisticated. So actually the PH is just pronounced exactly like an F sound. And an example sentence could be, the Queen is extremely sophisticated. On to the next one, we have debt. Now, similarly to other words we've looked at before, even though you have a B sound in the word, you do not pronounce it. So actually you just pronounce it like debt. So you completely miss out that B towards the end. And an example sentence could be, you should always try to clear your debt as quickly as possible. On to the next one, we have miscellaneous. Now, miscellaneous could be difficult to pronounce because we have the S and the C towards the beginning of the word, but actually we do not pronounce that C at all. So if you listen again, it's miscellaneous. So actually, towards the beginning, the C just becomes like another S sound. And if you don't know what miscellaneous means, it's actually just a synonym for something that's different or like various items. And an example sentence could be, he picked up the miscellaneous paper from the tray. On to the next one, we have sour. Now, sour is a type of taste that you can get when you eat food. Normally something like lemons or something like that could be sour. And it's difficult to pronounce because of the O-U in the middle. Some people aren't clear about how this should be pronounced. So if you listen again, it's pronounced like sour. So you almost hear like a W sound in there, so sour. And an example sentence could be, lemons are really sour. On to the next one, we have hierarchical. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard the word of hierarchy before, but this is another form of that word, and this is quite difficult to pronounce because we have quite a few syllables in here. So if you listen again, we have hierarchical. And similarly to other words, that CH again is pronounced like a K sound, not a Ch sound. So there's two different K or C sounds. So if you listen again, hierarchical. So at the end it's a bit of a different sound actually. And an example sentence could be, animals tend to live in a hierarchical society. On to the next one, we have literature. Now, I'm sure you guys know what literature is. It's about different books and writing. And this can be difficult to pronounce because we have two different T sounds in the word. So if you listen again, it's lit-tra-ture. So actually at the beginning, even though we have an E followed by the R and the A, it actually sounds like we are saying R-E. So it's like li-tra. So if you can hear that there, that's kind of the difference in the beginning. And at the end of the word, even though it's T-U-R-E, it's actually pronounced like a ch sound. So it's literature at the end. And an example sentence could be, some of the most famous literature comes from England. On to the next one, we have similarly. Now, similarly to regularly, this has a different ending that can really confuse students when they're trying to read this word. So if you listen again to the pronunciation, it's sim-er-le-ly. So again, we have two of those different L sounds at the end of the word. And an example sentence could be, my best friend viewed a similarly priced property. On to the next one, we have athlete. Now, I'm sure you guys know what an athlete is. It's a professional sports person. And this word can be quite difficult to pronounce because some people can think that we pronounce it like athlete, because they could think that the E sound is a short sound, but actually it's a long vowel sound. So if you listen again, it's athlete. So it's almost like we have two E's towards the end. And an example sentence could be, David Beckham is a famous athlete from England. On to the next one, we have thoroughly. Now, any word that is similar to this that we've spoken about in other videos, like through, thought, and things like that, are very difficult to pronounce for students because they are so similar and they always seem to be pronounced differently. So if you listen to this one again, it's thoroughly. And actually at the end, we don't pronounce that H after the G, it's just thoroughly. And an example sentence could be, you always need to thoroughly check your work before you hand it in. On to the next word, we have archive. Now archive, again, similarly to the other words we've looked at, has a CH in the middle, but we do not pronounce that CH. So if you listen again, it's archive. And an example sentence could be, museums keep the best archives. On to the next one, we have Massachusetts. Now, if you don't know, Massachusetts is a state in the United States of America, and it is a very, very long word, so it's very, very difficult to pronounce this one. So if you listen again, it's pronounced like ma-sa-chu-sis. So what's different about this pronunciation is that actually the CH is not a K sound, it's a chew sound. So if you listen again, it's chew-sis at the end. And an example sentence could be, Massachusetts is a southern state in America. On to the last one for this video, we have absolutely. Now, if you listen to the pronunciation again of this word, we say ab-sa-lut-ly. So actually the O at the beginning of the word is not pronounced like an O, it's actually pronounced like an A sound. And right at the end of the word, we also have a T-E-L-Y, but we don't pronounce that E sound. We just say lut-ly. And an example sentence could be, I absolutely love eating pancakes. Okay guys, so that is it for part 4 of this video. If you would like to see part 5, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and don't forget to like the video. See you next time. Bye.